Do not look away. You witness a king's revival.
Welcome to MojoPlays, and today we're shining a light on characters from The Legend of Zelda who deserve their own game. Even though none of these are likely to ever happen, hey, we can always dream. But before we dive in, we publish new content all week long. So be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. Sheik. Zelda herself has now gotten her own mainline game with Echoes of Wisdom, on top of being playable in spin-offs like Hyrule Warriors. But there are specific versions of her we'd still like to see more of. In Ocarina of Time, the princess famously disguises herself as Sheik to hide from Ganondorf during the 7-year time jump while Link is in the Sacred Realm. It would be fascinating to see this version of her train under Impa and embody a new personality, while dealing with the rise of evil throughout Hyrule and watching as her kingdom falls into ruin. It would undoubtedly add a deeper layer to this iteration of the character. Plus, we imagine her stealth-based ninja-like mechanics could be great for striking at Ganondorf's forces from the shadows. Urbosa.
Princess of Hyrule, I accept your proposition without hesitation. Not only are they planning to resurrect Calamity Ganon, it seems the Yiga clan is also after our treasured heirloom.
Really, it's because Urbosa is the best champion in Breath of the Wild that we'd like to see her get her own game. But I guess I have to say more than that. Following the matriarch of the Gerudo tribe would make for an interesting spin on world building. Just playing as a Gerudo in general could delve deeper into their resentment over Ganondorf, the king of evil, being one of them. But Urbosa specifically gets the spot due to her combat tactics. Her prowess as a leader and her use of electricity, the latter of which we got a mere taste of in Age of Calamity, would make her an engaging hero to control. If this were to ever happen, we'd like to see her outside of the world of Hyrule, as Nintendo has exhausted that version of the kingdom.
I like that. Now I can take this personally.
Skull Kid. The Skull Kids are interesting figures in the Zelda lore. Said to be children who become trapped in the lost woods of Ocarina of Time, one was given much more depth as the unwitting antagonist of Majora's Mask. It doesn't have to be that specific Skull Kid to receive a spin-off, but we'd like to see this tragic tribe explored somehow. Their playful personalities, to the point of actually being dangerous, is something I've always wanted to see more of. And is it just me, or do they give off crazy 3D platformer energy? The imp-like movement and use of blow darts would fit well in the genre. Plus, the version seen in Twilight Princess is able to control his own puppets, which could lead to engaging mechanics blending platforming with strategy. Hudson. You might not think of Hudson as a potential star of his own series, given he plays a pretty minor role in the grand scheme of Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. But if Zelda were to ever receive a builder type of spin-off where players design towns and landscapes while managing resources, he'd be a perfect fit as the lead. Let's see him expand his construction company to other regions, designing happy homes for citizens of Hyrule and beyond. Plus, his side quests are some of the most heartfelt in those games. We can imagine his game would make us feel all warm and fuzzy inside, while still focusing on the addictive elements of life sims. Midna. If there's one of Link's companions we'll always want more of, it's Midna. She's a favorite to many fans, given her sassy attitude and fearlessness for reclaiming the throne that was stolen from her. But there are other reasons she deserves to star in her own game, other than how wonderfully written she is. The Twilight Realm that she rules over is only briefly shown in Twilight Princess. That means there's a near endless amount of directions Nintendo could go in for expanding on it. There are so many creative mechanics you could include and so much unknown history you could explore. And who knows what type of threats could plague her people. With such a strange, eerie homeworld and such a deep, engaging character, the sky's the limit. Tetra. Another specific version of the princess we'd like to see more on is Tetra. First appearing in The Wind Waker, Tetra delighted players, being a scoundrel of a pirate leader with a softness hidden underneath. That is, until she was revealed to be Zelda and was sidelined for the rest of the game, but I digress. A game focusing on her could either be a prequel, showing her as a scourge of Hyrule's seas before meeting Link, or it could be set between Phantom Hourglass and Spirit Tracks, showing her and Link find the land that would become New Hyrule. Either way, we'd imagine ship combat would be the core hook. While both games she appeared in did include ship exploration, a focus on customizing your ship and fighting others while still discovering and charting new locations would be great. Beetle. When we think of cozy within the Zelda universe, Beetle is one of the first characters to come to mind. The comical shopkeep has been charming us since The Wind Waker, and it's nice that Nintendo has brought him back through games like Skyward Sword and Breath of the Wild. He's another character who could star in his own resource management title, though gameplay would differ quite a bit from one that starred Hudson. Instead of building and designing homes, Beetle could acquire and trade different goods, or maybe star in his own farming sim to keep supply up with Hyrule's demand. Of course, he also likes to travel, so the implementation of narrative adventure elements as he connected with people around the world would certainly add to the coziness. Cass. A mystery many of us were left with after exploring Tears of the Kingdom to its fullest was where in the hell Cass disappeared to. He was one of the best new characters in Breath of the Wild, and his absence was definitely felt in the sequel. Well, giving him his own game would amend that loss, showing where he was while Link was saving Hyrule from Ganondorf. More than that, given his love for music, we could see him starring in a rhythm spin-off and maybe learning new instruments as you progressed. The instruments could also tie in with the narrative. Tracking down long-forgotten history and telling those tales through song is what made Cass engaging. If he were to explore a new land, learn about its stories, culture, and instruments, that would add a thoughtful layer to his journey. Impa. Other than the big three, Impa has appeared in more Zelda games than any other character. This makes her a natural pick when talking about those that deserve their own game. In terms of gameplay and mechanics, it would be similar to what you'd see in a theoretical Sheik game. But where Zelda's alter ego would be confined to a specific time period, Nintendo could go in multiple directions with Impa since versions of her have appeared across histories and timelines. It could even be a brand new iteration we've never seen. It would also be a great way for Nintendo to further explore the history of her people, the Sheikah, which we actually haven't gotten much of. She deserves the spotlight, and it has a lot of potential. Ganondorf. Of course, the biggest no-brainer character who deserves their own game is Ganondorf. Whether it be him or his beast form, he's the franchise's primary villain and one of the most vital pieces to the story. Yet, we rarely get much information on his personality or his reasoning. There have been glimpses of this, such as his monologue at the climax of The Wind Waker, but most of the time his evil is born out of a simple desire for power. Even in Tears of the Kingdom, his goals aren't really explored. He's undeniably an imposing figure, but if he were to star in his own game, we'd get more depth. Nintendo might not want to have us play as a villain, but there are many directions you could go in, even exploring him as a character before a full turn to villainy.
Enjoy these fun moments. I will be taking far more than you're on this time.
Which character from The Legend of Zelda would you like to see in their own spin-off? Share your thoughts in the comments.